guys, how are you doing today? I hope everyone is doing wonderful. I just thought I would come to you guys and do a color and chat. I'm going to be coloring this page from Jennifer Stay from coloringpagesbliss.com, also on Facebook as well as here on YouTube with Coloring Bliss. I'm going to be working on her mandala and just kind of laying down some color and enjoying that. And I thought that I would come and be here and spend some time with you guys as well while I colored. And yeah, so I'm going to start with 004, which is Very Berry in my Blick Studio markers. And I really don't have any specific plans for this image. I'm just going to take it as it comes and just lay down some color. And yeah, so we'll see where that takes us. My anxiety is out of control, guys, and it's bad. The past couple weeks have been really tough. I'm sure it showed through on some of my videos. For those of you who know me outside of YouTube, I know it's definitely shown there, and for those of you that's closest to me, I've shared a lot of things with you guys, so you kind of know where I'm coming from. I've been unmedicated since February of 2017, and I was diagnosed with a severe case of generalized anxiety with panic attacks disorder, or panic disorder, anxiety panic disorder. And I've been doing really well with controlling triggers and things like that, using my coloring as therapy, opposed to medications, and I've done real good. And just here in the past few weeks, it's almost been like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's been kind of like going down a deep, dark hole, and the anxiety has just continued to kind of get worse and worse. And for those of you who have anxiety, you know that the symptoms can be so nutty. It can be anything from just that butterfly feeling in your stomach to a feeling of impending doom and dread, to physical things such as heart palpitations, chest pains, and things like that, even to the point that, you kind of worry, are you having a heart situation that you should be seeking medical help for? And it's just been, oh boy, it's been tough. I cannot go back on medications, refuse to. Even if I could, there's no way, not knowing what I know now about those types of medications. I do have a beta blocker that I can take when it becomes a physical thing, where I start feeling the palpitations, racing heartbeat, things like that. I do have a beta blocker that I can take, and I very rarely take it, but that beta blocker will slow your heart rate and lower your blood pressure, and therefore kind of control those palpitations and things, and it makes the feelings of anxiety much easier to deal with. You can't take them too often, of course, because I run a lower blood pressure anyway, so it kind of puts me at risk of bottoming out my blood pressure, so I had to be kind of cautious with it. And I took it on a regular basis for several months, and my hair started falling out, and it took us forever to figure out why I was having such excessive shedding. My hair thinned out. You could see my scalp. It was nuts, and I was scared. And then finally, I just happened to read an article one day saying that beta blockers could cause hair loss, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I came off the beta blocker for a long time and just didn't take any at all, and sure enough, my hair started growing back. I'm telling you, if a medication has a side effect, I'm the one, okay? I've always seemed to be that way. It's either I'm the one or read the side effects and expect the opposites. You know, may cause drowsiness. In my case, will keep me up all night, kind of thing. Most people take Benadryl, pass out. I take Benadryl, run a marathon. You know, it's just, I don't know, something about my chemistry. But, you know, I get those weird side effects. And so I only take that when I absolutely need it. And I almost didn't make this color and chat video because my anxiety is so high right now. I mean, I can kind of feel my hands kind of wanting to tremble. You may be able to see it. I don't know. It's very light. But I know when I have markers in my hands and things like that, it does tend to stop those tremors somewhat. So that's why I color, you know, so much when my anxiety's up. But I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do the video, and I was like, no. It might actually help you if you go on and go ahead and do the video, push through. Good things, you know, good things. I thought about live streaming. That has helped in the past. A couple times I've live streamed. There was one day in particular that my anxiety was horrible, and live streaming actually really brought me back down. But I've had so many internet problems with slow connection speeds and things like that, that there's so much buffering, and I can't seem to hold a stream. So I was like, no, that would probably frustrate me more than it would help me. And it's kind of like middle of the day. I wasn't sure how many people could actually even be there. So I was like, no, I'll just make the video and just kind of, you know, talk about how I'm feeling. And, you know, I know that there's a lot of you out there that suffer these things too, so you can relate to that. But it's just, I'm starting to feel almost crippled by this again, and that scares me because I know that there's nothing that I can, you know, do. There's no simple solution. So I don't know, guys. And I think that's bringing on anxiety too, because I'm so concerned with the amount of anxiety. You know, I worry because I worry. And for those of you who don't have anxiety, that makes like no sense. And I know it makes no sense to you because, you know, you people, and I don't want to say normal people, but people who do not have anxiety, a lot of times their answer is, well, what's bothering you? Let's talk about what's bothering you. Well, I wish I knew what was bothering me, because if I knew what was bothering me, I could address it. And then if I could address it, I could probably avoid the anxiety. And that's how I've kind of controlled things was through a lot of self-awareness with myself, and trying to notice when my anxiety started to go up, what was going on, labeling those as triggers, seeing if there were patterns. That's how I've kind of made it through the last couple years. And it's been working really good until lately. And I've been under, some of you know, I've been under a lot of stress. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And there is absolutely nothing I can do about my situation that I'm currently in. It's just, it's tough, okay? I've always been a very strong-willed person, very opinionated. I like things a certain way, and my kids would probably say, yeah, mom always drove us crazy, but there's just a certain way I like things, a certain way I like to do things. I'm very independent. I don't like to feel as if anyone is in charge of me other than me, and that all kind of stems back to abusive situations that I was in the past. And so okay. I don't know if I should, I'm always so cautious about what I say on social media because of not wanting to upset family. But because there has been times where maybe I've said something on Facebook or something like that, and it caused a huge uproar in the family. And so I've been real careful not to say anything on the channel about certain things. I may have alluded, but I've never really talked about it. But the truth of the matter is, you guys know that we had to move in with my mother-in-law February of last year. February of last year, I was 1 year off of medications and doing well. My mother-in-law was starting to, she has too much house, is what it comes down to. She can't afford the place that she's in. It was beginning to fall into disrepair, and it needed to be sold. My sister-in-law used to live here and help out, and her family, so that's really a story of its own because my sister-in-law became disabled. Her husband was working pretty much 24/7, and there were children and things like that, so things didn't really get done in the house that should have gotten done to keep the place up and things like that. My sister-in-law passed away unexpectedly in 2015, 5 weeks before my daughter passed away. It was very sudden and very unexpected, even though, she had these disabilities. Her husband did stay here for a number of months, and I don't in any way blame him. I understand he had a life to get on with. He moved out in 2017, and towards the middle of 2017, middle to end, and then we moved in February of 2018, so we could kind of be that little extra bit of money. At the time, we knew my mother-in-law was starting to kind of go downhill a little bit, but she was still working full-time, but we knew that there were, beginning to be some problems. And then she had a car accident, which we believe was due to a stroke. We found out because of seeing doctors that she had major blockages in her arteries. They did surgery on that. We believe that she may have stroked out on the table because she's had a lot of stroke-like problems since that surgery. And the first surgery on the first artery was in November of last year, and so we moved in February, and she was still working full-time, so Monday through Friday she was at work unless she was on vacation and what have you. And so the type of room we have in an enclosed garage, it was kind of like having your own apartment. And during the week when she was at work, you know, I could get things done around the house. I could do things my way, keep the house clean my way, you know, things like that. And then November, that suddenly came to a screeching halt. I love my mother-in-law. Do not get it twisted. I love her. She is a very sweet, caring person. However, she is very opinionated and very strong-willed, much like myself. So, two very opinionated, strong-willed women who both have almost like OCD issues, but not. I mean, I know how bad OCD can really be. So, you know, when I say I'm OCD, it's more of a haha joke thing. I know how horrible OCD can be, and I don't have that horrible disease. But you know, there's it's the whole certain things, certain ways, everything, you know, everything in its place. And the type of person that my mother-in-law is and that I am, we have very different. I'm opening up a piece of candy. Sorry, guys. We have very different issues. The things that irk the shiz out of me does not bother her in the least. As a matter of fact, she's happy with things that way. The things that irk her are things that really don't bother me. And for example, on both sides of that, I can't stand clutter. I don't do it. I cannot do it. It looks messy. It looks disorganized. It makes me not be able to accomplish anything. I mean, nothing. My mother-in-law, it does not bother her at all. She can deal with a counter full of mail that has sat there for weeks. She can deal with things that were bought at the store, just sitting on kitchen tables, kitchen counters, and just making their home there. It doesn't bother her in the least. It drives me crazy. I can't function like that. It makes me feel dirty. On the flip side, now, don't get me wrong, I cannot stand a nasty, dirty, sticky floor, okay? Negative. That will get taken care of in a heartbeat. But, you know, if I'm cooking and a few things drop into the floor, yeah, I pick them up. You know, if I see something laying in the floor, I bend down and I pick it up. Sweeping and mopping once a week, you know, sometimes I would even sweep and not mop, you know, but you know, once the floor was dirty, yeah, it got mopped, you know, but it was only adults here, so it really wasn't getting that dirty. Gary and I were pretty much in our room, and she was at work, but she's not cool with that. If she sees that something has dropped into the floor, picking it up really isn't good enough. You know, crumb type things or whatever that may be in the floor, they have to be swept and mopped, and, you know, it drives her crazy if it's not. You know, if I feel it on my feet, yeah, it's getting swept and mopped, but it's almost like the microscopic stuff. It's like she thinks it needs swept and mopped, you know, and that's the difference, you know, a big difference between her and I. And when you know, and there's other things, that's just a little example. When she had to leave work and not go back, things, of course, she started leaving mail laying around. She would, when she could get out and go to a store or something, she would come home and just leave things on counters, and it got to the point, honestly, where And I'm still kind of there, where eventually I locked myself in my bedroom. And that's where I've lived since November. And I think that's taken a huge, huge toll on me. And it's not that I think that she does not want me in other parts of the house. It's not that at all. It's, without even realizing it, she tries to avert authority. And I understand at the end of the day, this is her house. But Gary and I moved in here, and it became our home also. And it doesn't feel that way. It feels as if we're, you know, she still doesn't, I don't really know how to word it, but it's as if it's her place and nobody else lives here, I guess. And I don't think she means for it to be that way. But that's how it feels, you know, to me. And, you know, a good example is she does not like dogs, okay, in a house at all, period. And she knew I had Bradley when I moved in here. She'll make comments, you know, everything, all the furniture in the front of the house. She spends all kinds of money to keep it covered and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And there'll be comments made here and there that makes it, you know, you just know that your dog's truly, even though she loves him and spoils him and everything else, he's truly not welcome, almost. I mean, he is, but he's not. I mean, does that make sense? He's tolerated. Okay, I guess. I mean, she loves him, spoils him, don't get me wrong. And just little things, you know. I know that she doesn't want him to have bones in the house. We know that, okay? And we don't. Then, you know, last night we had T-bone steaks, and Gary had mentioned that, well, maybe, Bradley, I'll save you a bone. And her immediate response was, well, he can have it on the back patio. And I must have got the most sour face. And Gary kind of looks at me like, what the hell? And, sorry. And, but I'm sorry, I don't need that. I know that she doesn't want bones in the house, and I've respected that. I'm a grown-ass adult. And, you know, excuse my language, but I am. And I don't need someone telling me that. I understand that. I respected that. I've obeyed that. There's no reason that it always needs to be brought up. And it drives me crazy. Okay? Absolutely crazy. I truly believe that the situation that we're in right now here is what's causing a lot of my anxiety to act up, and I cannot control it. And there's really no solution, because whether she will admit it or not, she doesn't need to live alone anymore. Thank goodness she has went back to part-time work now. So she's supposed to be working Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Today is Thursday, so I kind of am able to speak freely while I'm filming. And that has a lot to do with why I haven't shared much on my channel. Also, is because ever since November, she's been home. And that's when I started my channel. But maybe Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays will be some time that I can decompress. But she's still not getting around well. She would never admit it. She would say that she is perfectly capable of taking care of herself and that she does not need anyone living with her. But the fact of the matter is her income just really took a hit when she went part-time instead of full-time. And, you know, now it's pretty much Social Security and this little bit. And she has a very expensive home that she lives in and a lot of bills. And she, I don't believe, could afford to live here alone, period, without the extra help. And her mobility has truly taken a hit, which she probably wouldn't admit well to that either. But, you know, a good example of why I think that someone has to be here is she asked me just the other morning, well, she had asked Gary when the time changed if he would set her alarm clock for her because she didn't know how to do it. And then she had fallen asleep and went, you know, it was time for us to go to bed, so Gary really didn't have time to show her because she wanted to be shown. So he was going to wait until the next night. Well, she decided the next day that she was just going to go buy herself an alarm clock that she could handle, that had battery backup and all that kind of thing and things on it. And that night before bed, she asked me to go set her clock, to go set it up for her. So, does that sound like somebody that can live alone? No, it does not. We had considered moving out back in December. Things had kind of boiled over here, and some conversations were had, and Gary and I had decided to move out, that we were going to find our own place, and that we would just, you know, figure out whatever needed to be figured out. And the very next day, she fell and could not get up. She's working her part-time job mostly because she has to, not because she wants to. I mean, yeah, she wants to get out of the house some and things like that, but the truth of the matter is she cannot afford not to work. She does not have enough money coming in. She was not prepared at all for retirement. I think that she looked at it as Michelle and Randy, that's my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, were going to be here forever with her to take care of her, and as she went downhill, they would kind of take over and she would become more the roommate, I guess. There had already been an agreement between Gary and his sister that Michelle, his sister, would get the house when his mom, you know, passed away. He didn't want the house or anything like that because she did sink money into closing in the garage and all of that. And, you know, she kind of wanted to make sure that she was going to get a return on that investment. So, you know, and I think, honestly, that that's what it was, is my mother-in-law saw no reason to prepare for a retirement where she would have to support herself. And, you know, she continued to spend money and run up credit card bills and things like that, and was just very, very unprepared. So it's a bad position. And then, you know, when she fell like that, and, you know, we talked about it that night, and, you know, Gary's like, Donna, you know, what are we going to do? This is my mom, you know, I'm responsible. And I agree. I think we should, you know, do the best we can by our parents. I really do believe that. And I understand, you know, she fell, and that was kind of like proof in the pudding. That was the third time that she had fallen. But she had been pretty steady up until that point, and then that happened. So we're like, well, we really can't do that. So due to the big conversations and everything that we had all had, things did seem to be a little better for a while. But little comments will get made. She doesn't feel like I put in, I mean, and I can tell this, and she doesn't feel that I put in enough effort to keep things clean, you know, to her standards or whatever, or I don't cook enough, or, you know, what have you. And the truth of the matter is, I was cooking every night. She, a lot of times, would not eat my food, and it was very insulting to me when she would come home and be like, I don't really want that, and make something else after I had made this huge meal. And I understand ultimately I was also taking care of Gary, but, you know, I get that, but still. So that, you know, kind of bothered me a little bit. And then Um, then, sorry guys, I'm just looking at the color. But I am very picky about the way I keep my kitchen, especially. All right. I always have been, as my children. You know, they'll tell you. I've always been very picky. I used to tell my kids, they would say, you know, hey, when's dinner? And I said, hey, when am I going to have a clean kitchen to cook in? Like I said, I don't do clutter or any of that kind of stuff. I can't. I can't do it. I don't know why. If you would have seen my room as a teenager, you'd never believe it. You know, it was me that was in that room. But, so my mother-in-law does have a shop problem, and she would go to the grocery store, and I think there was 6 people living in this house at one point, and that's what, you know, groceries were normally for. Well, at one point there were 7, but then it was 6 and then 5. But even now, we have to make comments because she'll go to the grocery store and it's almost as if she's still feeding that many people, and she'll buy all that food and cabinets. Every cabinet is full, and trying to find something is very difficult. You open the refrigerator and there is nowhere to put anything in the refrigerator. To find different things that you would need to cook with, you have to take a lot of stuff out just to get to what you need, and I don't know how to function that way in a kitchen. I don't. Also, you know, when it comes to, I try to do whatever cleaning. I always cleaned when she was at work. I don't know what it is. I have a hard time cleaning with people up and around in a house. Always have. I would clean when my kids were at school, or when they were younger than that, when they were taking naps. Things of that nature. And yeah, I don't know. It just, with everything, things just started getting real difficult. And I kind of reclused up into my room. I didn't cook as much. You know, Gary and I would go out, or, you know, if his mom cooked, she cooked. But, and Gary knew, kitchen-wise, that it had a lot to do with, I don't do that. I can't function that way. There were a couple times just here recently that I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this effort here. And I cleaned out cabinets, and I cleaned out refrigerators. I threw away like 3 huge trash bags, you know, the big black thick ones, out of the refrigerators. We have 2 refrigerators, one in like a hallway, and one in like the hallway to the entrance of the house, which used to be part of the garage, and then also in the refrigerator, or kitchen refrigerator. Between there and some of the cabinets, it was 3 huge trash bags. I got everything organized, all of the expired foods gone, everything the way it, you know, was organized. We had everything we needed in there. It's not like it was empty. But she went shopping and spent like $500. She came home with a car absolutely smack full. And by the time all of that was put up, there was nowhere to cook again. You know, there was nowhere on the counters. There was, the refrigerator was packed smack full, couldn't see anything again. And I threw my hands up again. I'm like, oh my God. You know, and then we realized how bad Gary's diabetes was getting. And Gary's like, Donna, something's got to give. You're going to have to start cooking low carb for me again. And I was like, okay. And I've been trying to do that. I've been trying to bite my tongue. I've been trying to, you know, work around all these things, and it's like, ugh, you know. And I think that all of that has my anxiety levels through the stinking roof, okay? Because, I mean, think about it. We moved in here in February of 2018. I have been without medicine for 1 year. I was coping. I continued to do pretty well. Then this happened to her, and she was home starting in November. That was, what, 4 months ago? And so much has happened, and here I am now, not able to cope with my anxiety, hardly at all. So yeah, I think I've found the trigger. The only problem is there's no way to get away from this trigger. I haven't figured that part out yet. I'm going to take a short break. Okay. So, you know, and then, of course, Gary and I have our health issues and that we're dealing with. Gary's back is just continuing to get worse and worse and worse. It's to the point now where he's not even sleeping at night, hardly, because of the pain, or afraid that he's going to have surgery much sooner than later. The plan had always been to put this off until a little closer to retirement, which is, I guess, 6 years away, something like that. We have found out that I have 3 herniated discs in my back, which give me issues, amongst other things. It's just stressful, and you know, it's like there was a lot of stress back at Christmas. I had told you guys how crazy her Christmas ornaments are. You know, she has a shed literally full of nothing but Christmas, and she wanted Gary to go out there and lift these boxes and bring them into the house to her, and they're heavy, so she could go through them. I got angry. I went out there and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then, you know, that went on, and I think, you know, maybe we finally got the point across how really bad it was. But now it's like last night, my niece is supposed to be coming to visit for a few days, first week of April, and my mother-in-law has been stuck on this going through paperwork thing. She's a hoarder, people, is what it comes down to. Okay, it's not as bad as what you see on Buried Alive, but it probably would be if people weren't around to stop her. But she's got all these boxes and stuff of receipts and all kinds of things that go back 10, 15, 20 years maybe. And she's finally decided, well, maybe I can get rid of some of this stuff. And she's got these boxes under her bed. And then another comment that got kind of made last night that really, for lack of a better term, it pissed me off. She was like, well, I guess I'll just have to wait until insert young niece's name, since she's a minor, gets here, and I'll have her get those boxes out from underneath my bed. Really? Really? Okay. I'm glad you finally realized that your son has these back problems that he's dealing with, and maybe you've accepted that his wife does also. But to insinuate that we won't get some papers out of some boxes that's underneath your bed pulled out for you, that insinuates that you're just trying to say that we're lazy, and that pisses me off. Okay? I'm really sorry. I know I've let some words slip this time, but I am so stressed out. It's just ridiculous, okay? It's like one extreme to another. You're going to make comments about us not getting papers from underneath the bed, but yet sooner or later, you know, you'll drop hints like, well, I need to do this, or I can't do this, or I can't do this. She bought a stove recently, a new stove, right? And I'm not saying we didn't, you know, that the house didn't need one, but they were coming to deliver that, and she came to me that morning and was like, I need to pull the old stove out so I can sweep behind it and mop and all. Okay, you can't hardly walk. I know you can't pull that stove out, so I know what you're asking is for me to go do it. Well, my back is in a very bad situation right now because of some things that happened, and I'm under the care of a doctor, and yeah, no. No, not doing it. I told her, I said, I think what you need to do is you need to wait until they get here to deliver the new stove, and ask them if they will give us just a second to sweep and mop underneath it after they pull it out. I'm like, since they're hauling the old one off, it just makes sense to let these people who have equipment to move things like that, and, you know, came here prepared to move heavy objects, to do that. And maybe a lot of that is her age and her just not thinking, but it bothers me. It makes me feel like she's just insinuating that we're in some way freeloading off of her and not doing anything, and it just really bothers me. And so it keeps my anxiety up pretty high. And I love her. I do. Don't get me wrong. And it's like I said, I don't believe that she realizes, I don't think she realizes what all she insinuates when she says certain things, or, you know, how people take certain things. I don't think she understands that. I don't think she would intentionally try to hurt or upset or any of that. I really don't. But it's the way it gets received. And, you know, I believe, and, you know, I haven't talked about this on camera either, Gary come to the conclusion that he believed a lot of his blood pressure issues were were possibly from stress. He was moved to a station that was much faster, a much higher call volume, having to do a lot more at work than, you know, he had been doing. Physically, mentally, you know, everything. And then the stress at home of his mom's, you know, the things that were going on with his mom. And, you know, it's like he said, you know, the fact that his mom refuses to get along with his wife, and his wife can't get along with his mom. And that makes sense. That makes sense. So since we started kind of wondering about that, I've stopped even talking to Gary about it and just internalized. And that is about the point that the anxiety started to get uncontrollable. I'm not sure what to do. I definitely know that Gary and I need to get away. We need to get out of here and be alone for a while and try to come to grips. I think our marriage is starting to suffer some also from all the stress and things that we've been under, and that bothers me a lot. More than you could possibly imagine. You guys know, I've told you guys plenty of times, you know, Gary is my soulmate. I love him from the depths of my soul. I also know how fast bad situations, stressful situations can ruin a marriage, and I don't want that to happen to us. It took us 23 years, something like that, 22 years, to find each other again. And I don't want to lose that, and that scares me. Yeah, it scares me. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I just don't know what to do. And I guess I figured that I just really needed to let it out. So I was just going to go ahead and throw it out in a video. And like I said, I haven't said anything because, you know, I know Facebook, or not Facebook, but YouTube is a public forum. Anyone can get on it. My videos are public. I don't think any of my family is, you know, following my videos. other than maybe one of my kids popping in from time to time, maybe to see what's going on or whatever. But I don't think it'll cause drama, but it could. And the drama itself, you know, their whole thing is, well, you know, no, no putting business on public, whatever. Okay, well, I gotta have somebody to talk to. Okay, I don't have a lot of friends, and I'm just kind of stuck here with the situation, and I don't know what to do with it. I am, I'm getting to be miserable. And I don't want to be that way. And I don't want to be nervous. And I don't want to be anxious. And I don't want to lose all the progress that I've made in the past 2 years to get me to where I am. I don't want to get into a dark place again. I don't want, you know, any of that. And it's even going over into my dreams. My dreams have been very stressful, very vivid, very disturbing. I've had a lot of sleep disturbances, and that's very typical, insomnia with anxiety. It's just getting rough, and I don't know what to do. So, there you have it. You have all heard all of my problems, and I have completed a mandala for you guys here on camera. I don't know if you guys think I should do anything here in these backgrounds, because they're really not, it's just a drawing. It's not part of the mandala. But thank you for listening to me rant. I appreciate that. It means the world to me to be able to get some of the thoughts out of my head. Maybe now you guys can understand, if you've seen, you know, that my content may be lacking just a little here or there, whatever. Maybe you understand why. If I've sounded stressed, or I haven't been ever present. I know in the beginning I would respond to comments like immediately, and now it's taken me a day or so to respond to comments and things like that. And this is why. I mean, so now you guys gotta get a glimpse into what's going on. And yeah, so just thank you so much for being here, and thank you for supporting me and supporting the channel, and just being there when I need somebody to talk to. And this may end up having, maybe one video a week may end up having to be a my diary kind of video, where I just kind of talk things out. I don't know where to take that, but there it is. It's out there. If I get slammed for it, so be it. But I mean, it's the truth. It's how I feel. It's what's going on in my world. So I hope that you guys have a great rest of the weekend, and I will see you guys in my next video. Until then, peace, love, and happy coloring. Bye, guys.